Three games. First up, Rams crushed the 49ers. Stafford had another game with 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Also, Dan Campbell took over play calling, and the Lions racked up 546 yards and a win. At the same time, Seattle was up 35-0 with 8 minutes to go in the first half. So which of these performances was the most impressive to you, Brew? Why don't you start us off?
Well, look, all three faced backup quarterbacks. And only one team did not let the backup cook.
I don't know if the Rams were facing a backup quarterback.
Mac Jones, backup quarterback for the Niners, had a 115 passer rating. The backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, for Washington against Detroit, had a 133 passer rating. And Jacoby Brissett against Seattle had only an 83 passer rating.
In the desert.
And they were up 35-0. Like, that was, I mean, they could have beat them 70-10 if they wanted to. So I'm going with Seattle. That was very impressive.
So I agree it's Seattle. I also think, as much as I like the Rams historically and this year, Seattle is the biggest story on the West Coast of the league this year. Like, Seattle, all the respect that folks were demanding I give to the Colts, I not only do I still refuse to do it, but I'm reserving it to give extra respect to Seattle. I think Seattle is very legit. But I know you, KW, want to talk Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I really have a question because Dan Campbell took over play calling, put on his glasses, coach, which is like a nice move if you're like in a play. They scored 44 points with and had their season high in yards, 546, 226 yards on the ground. Was this like a huge deal or just like a little blip in their play calling? Early in the season, we were like, oh my goodness, Dan Campbell's losing both coordinators. It's like, it's okay, promote from within, it will all work. This feels like the first time that narrative actually had some teeth to it, that he had to wrest control of the offense.
Yeah, it's interesting, and because I was on a staff in San Francisco where the play calling, even though there was an offensive coordinator, different guys on the staff had different responsibilities. So one guy would call the 2-minute, another guy would call third down, another guy would call red zone, another guy would call the running game. Now, ultimately, the offensive coordinator made the final call, but he would say, what do you like here? What do you want here? So maybe this is a similar situation where ultimately Dan said, I'm going to make the final call, whether we run or pass. And I think Johnny probably leans heavier towards the pass than the run. And maybe there's certain things that Dan definitely wanted to be definitive on. So that's why he took control over it. But I have been part of staffs where they do chop things up much differently than when you would anticipate, where one guy's making every call.
So is this nothing to be? Does he have to keep it from now on? It goes back and forth.
It went pretty well, so I would imagine he'll keep it until it doesn't go well. And I don't think it's a great situation for Johnny. Like, look, whenever someone takes control of the thing that you have control of, it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good, but he's a team player. He'll fall in line like he did, and if it helps him win, then you suck it up and go.
Didn't love it. You like that?
I don't want to be rude. I don't know that I believe it.
What do you mean by that? He had glasses on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Dan Campbell is, during the game, all of a sudden doing what Sean Payton does. I don't think that. I think he is overseeing more than picking the plays, even when he hasn't. Like, do you, like...
What do you mean?
Like, I think that what you're describing is likely what's happening here, rather than what it was portrayed as, which is he is now one of the coaches that is calling all the plays.
Yeah, I don't think he's in every single offensive meeting, completely hammering out the game plan.
That's what
I think he's overseeing it. He's probably not installing the game plan or any of those things that the offensive coordinator traditionally does. But I would imagine there were certain things he was frustrated with. He probably said, I want these things to happen. They weren't happening, so he said, okay, I'm going to make sure they happen by having last say.
I'm putting it in my
Well, look, I mean,
in my file.
They've had some bad losses this year, and they were just coming off one, and the offense hasn't been as good. So now's the time to try to make a change, I think, versus after you lose in the playoffs again.
The Ravens are rolling. Another W for Brew. This time the defense carried Lamar via 3 turnovers, and Brew loved the defense intensity. Nick loved to talk about a smoke break. AFC North standings. Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns. But the Ravens are now the favorites, Brew. Are they all the way back?
And that's huge favorites.
Huge favorites.
I'm going to be dead honest. I think you guys believe me. This was not just for the show or the bit or anything. I always felt they would win the division, and they haven't. They still have to go out and do it. But just because the Steelers are okay, and I felt like with Lamar coming back, and again, their defense would improve at least to some degree, I really at 1-5 even felt confident they'll win this division.
The only time you honestly ever wavered was when Lamar was ruled out for the game we thought he was going to play.
Yeah, because Chicago.
Right,
game.
Chicago. But you have been very consistent the whole time.
Right.
Now, Grant, I do remember I had a dream about him in a hospital.
Yeah, but that was because that. Yeah, but Brew, as far as like he would have passed a polygraph of who do I think is going to win the division,
that's true.
he would have said Ravens every time.
And again, that's like, look, if the Ravens were in the AFC West, I wouldn't feel that way because the way the division's stacking up. But this year, the North is vulnerable. But they're not back by they're not even close, I don't think. But I think they're getting there. The defense obviously has improved dramatically, and that's one of the great things about what's going on right now. And this is since T7 became official.
Yes.
So, because it was before the Titans game, but it wasn't official. They had to, what is going on?
Official.
Where are the toys, whatever? And then after that, it became official. And so the last 4 games, I mean, Coach, they're giving up 14 points a game. That is 3rd in the league behind the Chiefs and the Rams. So the defense is coming on. Right now, the offense, at least with Lamar, like before he got hurt, it was 32 points a game. Now it's 27, so that's still good, 27 and a half. But since he's been back, it hasn't clicked yet. He was pretty good last week. He was so-so yesterday by his standards. But I have no worries about him. The thing that bothers me, Coach, is in the red zone. They haven't really been great all year, but yesterday they were 2 for 5 in the red zone. And I just think with Ricard, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson, you should not be bad like that in the red zone. Yesterday they left a lot of points on the board, and that's one area right now I think they've got to improve on to beat the Kansas Cities and Buffaloes in the playoffs.
Yeah, and throughout the course of the season, they've been putting out so many fires that probably going to get to the red zone.
Right.
I mean, this house has been on fire in a lot of places, so they've had to do a lot of different things. And when you look at the division, it was pretty obvious once Burrow went down, no matter, the Ravens were going to be in this till the end of the season because they by far have the best quarterback situation of anybody in that division. Now the Steelers have lost 3 out of 4. The Ravens have won 3 in a row, saw the defensive progress. The interesting thing about that game yesterday, it's the first time the Ravens have been held without a touchdown that Lamar started in 21 games. So Lamar actually, that was a very uncharacteristic game for a Lamar-led offense. But then they come out in the second half and they really lean into the running game and things change. So are they all the way back? Well, obviously not, because Lamar does something he hasn't done in 21 games, or fails to do something he hasn't done in 21 games. But the progress defensively, the fact that he exists, the guys getting healthy and the volume of guys that are getting healthy, and then where Pittsburgh is, it's pretty easy to see why the odds are the way they are.
Listen, I'm going to echo what Bruce is saying. I think they're clearly, all the way back is a team that just annihilates good teams in the regular season, and then playoffs are a different story. But in the Ravens in the regular season are a juggernaut.
And looks arguably like the best team in the league, without question.
I mean last year they beat Buffalo, Tampa, Denver, Pittsburgh, Houston, all playoff teams, by an average of like 20 points. And all of them by double digits. So like that's what all the way back means. As far as when we're talking about the odds, again, there's a lot of football left. But right now, if the most likely, according to Vegas, the most likely seedings hold, if the athletic playoff predictor, all that, we are going to have an AFC playoff picture of 4 seed Baltimore, 5 seed Buffalo, 6 seed Chiefs, which would be just a bizarre. Again, I think it's
one seed.
Again,
I better.
like right now, what the Vegas odds say is 1 through 7 is New England 1, Indy 2, Denver 3, Baltimore 4, Buffalo 5, Kansas City 6, Chargers 7.
It's like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, but it is like it would create a really interesting playoff dynamic of the 3 teams with established MVP quarterbacks being either wild card or the bottom division team. 2 of the 3 being on the road throughout, the other one
And obviously you got Buffalo. You'd have Buffalo and Baltimore in the first round.
Correct. And Buffalo and Baltimore would be a round 1 playoff matchup.
Coach, can I show you a video that just narratively, as the Ravens are storming back, this is something out of a movie where like, guess who's in the building? We should have added Stone Cold music to that dust. So Joe Burrow cleared for practice. We don't know when he's going to come back. Dust, do we have the Bengals schedule by any chance? If we do,
the next 5 are, I can tell it to you. The next 5 are absolutely brutal. In that we were just saying who they played next week.
Well, they play Steelers.
So they have the Steelers, they have the Ravens twice, they have the Patriots, and they have one other team that I'm forgetting. But in the next 5, and then the final 3 are soft. But the next 5, there we go. So they have Steelers, Patriots. Oh, the Bills is the one I'm forgetting. Steelers, Patriots, Ravens, Bills, Ravens.
So if he could come back week 14, gets the Bills, and then the Ravens, all of a sudden what you penciled in as, it's high scoring, but it gets a lot tougher with Joe Burrow.
But they better bring. But they need to be cautious. Look, their attitude might be like, he gets hurt all the time. We're just gonna play him when he's able. But I think, Coach, they should be cautious because remember when he came back 2 years ago, kind of prematurely it seemed, and he didn't play that well. Like Jake Browning played as well as him.
It's a little less dramatic because of how well Joe Flacco's played. I think everybody would be that much more excited if we were still watching the disaster that was post Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Or if the defense had a pulse.
Yeah, either or. But Flacco's gone in and lit it up, so it kind of takes a little bit of the enthusiasm. Where you think, okay, if they just score 30, they're going to win. Well, that's not true.
They play one of they play on Thanksgiving, and then they have obviously some time off before the game you're talking about, the Bills game, because they play the Ravens on Thanksgiving night. If they would be fortunate to go 1-2 in the next 3 without Joe, and then you're 4-8. If you're 4-8 and you bring back an injured Joe Burrow, you're out of your mind.
Right.
I know he'd be cleared or whatever. That would be with a bad offensive line, the worst defense in football, and a team that has 8 losses, to be like, hey, Joe, come back out.
I think he's dying to play.
Okay.
And that organization hates to eat money.
Hates to pay people not to work.
Yeah,
Well, when he sees Flacco cooking like he is.
Exactly.
Sure
He and Brock Purdy are both like, Toe, get better. Backup quarterback play.
Brock's chilling. I think Brock's chilling.
Bills dropped the division game in Miami, and in the process, watched their Super Bowl odds drop too. So going into the game, they were number 1. Now, battlefield promotion. The Chiefs are number 1, followed by Rams, Lions, Seahawks, and Eagles tied with the Colts. And then at 7 is the Bills. Do you think Buffalo deserved to plummet this far down?
And this is so wildly unfair. Typically, teams get a little bit of credit or benefit of the doubt for winning the Super Bowl. And we all know Buffalo won the Super Bowl. I mean, they did it a week ago. And now, again, that's their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Vegas isn't respecting that. And so because of that, they're once again the favorites to win the actual Super Bowl. The Bills won their Super Bowl. They were trying to schedule a parade, and they were like, hey, where's the confetti? Where is everything? And they're like, actually, we have a trip to Miami. People thought it was to go to live. Everyone's confused. And then 8chan runs all over them. And now the Chiefs' favorites win the actual Super Bowl. I think 2 things are noteworthy. The noteworthy thing from the odds, and Colts fans don't get mad at me, this is just me following the odds. At the lowest of the Chiefs' low this year, they never dropped beneath Indy in the odds because Vegas doesn't really buy into the Colts fully. You know, and you see, like, they for the same reasons we don't. It's just like you close your eyes and envision Daniel Jones holding the Lombardi trophy. It's like, then you drop it. And so
The Giants can see that.
so them, even though it's only by 50 cents, dropping to worse odds than the Colts is really noteworthy to me. It's like, wow. Like, so Vegas is not out, but inching out. And the other thing that's noteworthy is the reporting coach that they were willing to give up a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. And I am stunned that the hang-up there was that the Bills wanted the first rounder to be in 2027 and the Dolphins wanted it to be in 2026, and that's why they didn't do it. Personally, if I'm Buffalo, I'd much rather it be I'd rather give up next year's pick because I have certainty.
You have Jalen Waddle.
Well, not only that, no, I have certainty that, okay, I'm not a terrible team. Like, give up you give up a future first, it's like, well, Josh Allen misses 12 weeks and we go 4 and 3. Right.
Okay. If he got hurt.
And you're only making that trade if you think you're going deep into the playoffs.
Right.
That's right.
And so that to me was odd, but it's also telling. That would have been a huge premium to pay for a receiver. It's telling to me that internally they feel like they don't have enough juice, even though I still think they can win the Super Bowl. But that was like if we found out the Chiefs were offering a first and a third for a D tackle, it would have meant, oh, Kansas City really believes their run defense is, going to prevent them from going on a real run, and so that was noteworthy.
Or you make a trade like that because it's sort of like an arms race. You want to make sure that you're as loaded as you possibly can be, and it's your last window to do something like that. I don't think these odds are unfair with the loss that they had. And granted, they beat Carolina, which is a 500 team, and then they beat the Chiefs, which I know the Chiefs are the greatest team in the history of football right now. But once they hadn't beaten anybody really, and then they beat the Chiefs, and then suddenly they're back to this elite team because they beat another team that's barely over 500. So that's kind of how it's all played out. Then they go and get beat by Miami. But is it really that outrageous that it happened? They've got a ton of injuries. Josh Allen again we're trending back towards the turnover issue.
Say it, Coach.
We're trending back towards the roller coaster. He's got one less turnover at this point than he had all of last season.
Oh, good.
And so there's a lot of issues in Buffalo. There's not a strong track record of who they've beaten, except for the one win against the Chiefs. And so to have a letdown like this after an emotional game against Kansas City, I get why they dropped where they dropped.
Yeah, I think they dropped too far. There's no way I'd have Indy over them. Like, I just don't think Indianapolis is better than Buffalo. And mainly it goes to Daniel Jones versus Josh Allen. But I understand, though, why. Like, I think they're a contender. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a great team. But when I look at the AFC, I don't see a ton of great teams at this point. But I understand why they wanted Waddle so bad. Like, they clearly, when I said a year ago, when they let Diggs go and didn't really get like an elite receiver, it feels like they're not giving Josh Allen what he needs. And it was working. That's when they took the ball out of his hands and went on that win streak last year, lost in the playoffs. And then this year, it's kind of worked, but they haven't been that impressive, even in some wins. And they have got to get him a better receiver.
Well, they spent the second pick of they had a first round pick. They traded it to Kansas City. They moved down. The Chiefs drafted Xavier Worthy. We'll see how he looks the rest of this year. The Bills drafted Keon Coleman, and the Keon Coleman pick has not worked. And that was their premium resource. Yeah. And one pick after him was Ladd McConkey, and that's been.
Which, to your point, makes sense for them to give up next year's number 1 draft pick to get a proven commodity over trying
not to say anything, but Mac Hollins left the Bills, went to the Patriots, had a monster game last. Like, they're letting guys walk out the door.
Yeah, but
he had a few moments last year, but he is what he is. He's not.
He would be good on the Bills right now.
No, but to be fair, KW, like the Gabe Davis was great
right.
with the Bills, left them, and went to nothing.
Right.
So
So we got Stephon Diggs on the team too.
yeah.
Just quickly, Brew. Not to be. You know what? I'm gonna save it for the post game. Save it. We're gonna stay in Florida, where Drake Maye walked out of Tampa Bay with a victory, and now the best odds to win MVP. Drake, Stafford, Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor's crushing, and then Josh Allen, because it's
Go ahead.
mandatory. He has to be. He has to be on, everybody. So we're going to save the MVP conversation for later in the show about Stafford. But is Drake Maye officially one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks? You might ask, how many elite quarterbacks are there? I don't know.
If there's a top 5 right now, he's in it.
Oof.
There's to me
Goodness.
4 locks, and it might not be the 4 you think, because Joe Burrow's not in it right now. I'm sorry. Joe Burrow's not in it.
You mean period?
I know. I mean
Like
he's
when
he's
when
out.
next year, beginning of next year.
Well, when
you're not putting him in.
I don't know. If he doesn't come back and play again this year, then I think Joe. I just need to see him play a healthy couple months.
I need to. I think it has like music, like hot artists right now.
And
So, like, well, BB King. It's like, well, I know in the grand scheme of things, yes.
So listen, it's the 3 guys in their prime with MVPs. And the guy who I think is about to get one in Stafford. That's your 4. And right now, I think Drake Maye's your 5. I think it's Patrick, Josh, Lamar, everybody's All-American, bro, who you're coming around on, and Drake Maye. And I don't think it's too early. I don't think he's too young. And again, Coach, here's what I would say to prevent you from lecturing yourself about doing this with C.J. Stroud. I do not necessarily believe this means next year he will have this type of success. But this moment right now, if you were to ask me, list the quarterbacks you would want in order. He's the 5th name out of my mouth.
For like a game.
For the rest of this season. For the rest of this season, I would take Patrick, I would take Josh, I would take Stafford, I would take Lamar, then I'd take Drake.
You probably should get a package deal with Josh McDaniels.
Okay, well,
I totally
but that's
agree with that.
fine.
I agree with that.
Coach, that's totally fine. But he gets
That's
like
what,
you
Mahomes gets Andy Reid.
you get the guys you're with. Like
Yeah,
Jalen
and
Hurts
look,
gets the random collection of guys that they throw at him every 6 months.
I think he's playing at an elite level. I'm not convinced that he's an elite quarterback. And to your point about C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels, he's this year's Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels
Plus
was
50
last
pounds.
year's C.J. Stroud. And the question will be, moving forward, do we continue to see this progression? But in this moment, at this moment right now, you can't say he's not playing at elite level. And he's done some really good things in terms of when you watch him drop back to pass, look at the coverage isn't there, having the patience to move up in the pocket, and then use his athleticism to make a play. Those things are really good. What I don't love, and I think is going to come back to be a real problem.
Much.
Yeah, they're 2nd in the league in sacks. He's been sacked 35 times. Only Tennessee has more at 38. So that part there's got to be a point where you just live to fight another day. You throw the ball away. Every play doesn't have to be sort of heroics. And it's hard because as a young player, you want to do that, and it's ingrained, but he's got to protect himself.
Like in that regard, oddly, KW, and sorry, Bruce, the Broncos would be a playoff matchup that if I were you, I'd be a little anxious about.
The Broncos.
Yeah, but like is Drake Maye going to get sacked 9 times? I'm just like I think that would be the concern.
Pretty bad.
Look, I like him a lot. I think you see he can play on schedule and on time and then still make the big spectacular play. That's what Caleb is trying to get to. And I think maybe you were saying the same thing as Coach Nick. Like right now. But again, Jaden Daniels, at least I had it as a top 5 guy a year ago. And the year before, C.J. Stroud. So I want to see more of it. He's so young, and we've seen guys have a great year and then not have a great year the next year. I would bet that he's going to emerge over the next couple years as one of those top elite guys, but I can't put him there right now.
So a handful of guys are locked in, right?
Yeah,
That
like
early.
the Lamar, Josh, Patrick. I put Burrow still in there if he's healthy, and I get
But
what
then
you're
is there
saying.
like another group of guys that can go in
Dak
and out of
Prescott's
that?
playing pretty well this season.
Dak struggled at times against some of the better teams. Not struggled,
He
but
was trying to
hasn't put
get
up
you
the
to
huge
tier 2 fluid.
tier 2.
Yeah,
He's
fluid.
I know there's some fluidness.
it's fluid.
It's fluid.
I think
Your boy
Drake is going to be
J-Lo?
a perennial
Well, J-Lo,
top 3
right?
row of the
J-Lo.
mountain.
Where Jonathan Taylor ran wild, 244 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, bro, including the game winner in overtime. Indy moves to 8-2. What did the Colts prove to you?
That Jonathan Taylor is the wind beneath their wings.
So good.
I mean, it was him. And nothing against Daniel Jones, who's been good this year. But lately, Jones has struggled. Obviously, last week he had, what, five turnovers?
5 turnovers.
This week he had the interception, he had a fumble, and he had 2 more fumbles that, they didn't lose.
He has 6 fumbles the last 2 games. They didn't lose all of them.
Right. They've lost, what, 3 of them? Three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So Taylor, if it wasn't for his heroics, and that's particularly that 83-yard run, they lose that game. And so that's number one. Daniel Jones is kind of maybe coming back to earth. We'll see. Yep. But clearly it's about Taylor at this point. And then also, I just think that they, it was a good win, but I don't see them. I don't see them as a great team.
All right.
Clearly.
Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, so Jonathan Taylor, this was his 3rd career 200-yard rushing game. And the greatest thing about Jonathan Taylor is when you hear him talk after the game and everybody's trying to get him to talk about his accomplishments, he keeps coming back to the best part of that run was when all my teammates came down and congratulated me and we celebrated together. And he talks about the blocking, all the things that you would love your superstar to talk about. And the disappointing thing about Daniel Jones is everybody's trying to stop Jonathan Taylor. So they're building 8-man boxes. So the reads outside should be a lot cleaner. You're not facing a bunch of split safety defense. Right. The throwing lane should be cleaner. Play action should be more effective. Everything becomes easier for a quarterback when you've got a running back like this. So it's all about Jonathan Taylor. And I'd say the last thing is Atlanta is just...
They find ways to lose.
Yeah,
Coach, you would have
hard
loved
to use them as a measure.
Coach, you would have loved watching this game with me. Aside from the fact it was very early in the morning. I'm just begging them to run the ball. I'm like, just run the ball. Just run the ball every time. Just run Bijan, and when he gets tired, put in Algier, and when he gets tired, go back to Bijan. And it felt like too often when I watch Atlanta, I feel like they are trying to justify Michael Penix as opposed to trying to win the game.
Interesting.
And because they were never off schedule in this game as far as like, oh, we're down 17. And in fact, the only drive all game they really committed to the run was the last drive when they were trailing. Yep. But they were trailing with enough time that they could still run the ball. This is just going to be a Jonathan Taylor love fest. And KW, this was your guy. You said shortly, not right after we met, because right after we met was when you kicked him out of your office 10 years ago.
Well, first time I met you, I was like, you should draft Jonathan Taylor.
But it was once we worked together. You wanted the Chiefs to draft Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
And they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I don't second guess any of the Chiefs stuff because
KW, that's
no, it was.
Well, can you imagine?
It was a tough analysis that considering he had like 3 college rushing records.
Well, so that's
Helaire was great. I will say he was great.
And again, like as you said earlier, butterfly flaps its wings. They draft Jonathan Taylor. Who knows if they go to 3 straight Super Bowls, win 2 of them? I don't know. What I do know is this: Jonathan Taylor has played 118 games in the Big Ten or in the NFL. In those 118 games, he has 15,000 yards and 128 touchdowns. And if we want to say take out the college stuff, which again, it's not like he was at a small school killing people. Not that I'm saying that's not good, Ashton Genty. I'm simply saying it was 3 years at the Big Ten. in the pros, Wilds, 77 games, 8,500 yards. And 73 touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
So he averages for his career 110 yards from scrimmage and
Almost a
total
touchdown.
yard.
well, yeah, I mean, it is.
I was like,
for whatever it's worth, Brew.
not
It's
rush.
7,100 rushing yards in 77 games. He averages 92 rushing and 18 receiving yards a game. So
92 is
yeah.
great.
So
Yeah,
110 rushing yards or 110 yards from scrimmage and almost exactly 1 touchdown a game for a long career.
he has more yards rushing this year than Saquon did at this point last year.
And it's
2 by
also
2,
more
but
important. It's
still.
also more impressive because there's been no quarterback to take the pressure off. him.
Right.
Like that makes it that much harder.
Yeah.
It'll
Out of
be-
a shot.
Greg is fuming right now. Also, the other thing.
Rams cooked the 49ers, but Mac Jones did his thing. 33 for 39. He only missed 6 passes. 3 touchdowns, 319 yards. Now, I think he earned this job, but in the call, you were like, you and what army, Wild? So, good point. Take a listen.
Oh, this.
Yeah, listen, you got to go with the hot hand. Yes, you stay with them. I got to believe that's why I'm still sitting here today, because they went with the hot hand about 25 years ago.
All right, so Tom Brady is featured in a lot of commercials where, like, there's a guy in an office that knows just as much football as Tom Brady. Bro, did Mac
the
Jones take
record,
Purdy's job?
Tom Brady was 11-3 that year that he took over for Bledsoe, and your boy is 5-3, and it's about to get progressively
But, Brew,
worse. But
he
no,
played
look,
really
he has
well
played.
yesterday.
I am not going to take anything away from Mac Jones. Or are you calling him the baby goat again?
Maybe. I don't know. I think I checked
He
with
has
Tom.
played well. I do think the difference is, like, and I'm going to be honest. If I'm the Niners right now, I am totally like, Brock, man, just take your time. Not so much because I think Mac is going to lead them to the playoffs, but as I've said with the contracts, and I get it, look, Bledsoe had the contract, but you guys won the Super Bowl with Brady. It wasn't like he put up some numbers, you know. But because
Scored 3 offensive touchdowns in that playoff.
Yeah.
game. And Drew Bledsoe did throw one of them.
Yeah. No, I get it. It was a tough decision, but I feel like the contract Purdy has just makes the spot his. I also think Purdy is better. I think Mac is obviously very accurate, very smart, on time, all that. I think Purdy's mobility is big for them. He extends plays.
Yeah,
a lot of the
Mac's
plays he
pants aren't
makes,
falling down.
he
He's a
makes,
little mobile.
but not quite like Purdy. And I think the other thing, I think Purdy throws the ball downfield better. Like Mac, I think is more of the short, quick passes. I think Purdy does a better job of throwing the ball downfield. But I would want to see Mac in part because, like I said, I think Purdy's contract makes it where you got to keep him as your guy.
Well, you can't.
And so you play Mac and see if does that raise his trade value,
I don't think if you-
or it gives
if-
you a longer time to
If
evaluate.
Brock Purdy's your starting quarterback, I think you need a really good backup because the guy's been banged up a bunch.
That's a fair point.
And
So
so,
you
I,
would- well,
I- yeah,
okay,
I mean,
that makes
honestly,
sense.
yeah. And so, but here are the last 2 years. Here's the Niners quarterback numbers, and the guy on the right's just been better, and the sample size is getting bigger by the day. So the
Coach hates it.
Well, let me give. When you're done, I have. A graphic that
I
have.
just have a question. I can't say there's no agenda behind the question. There is.
Of course there is.
But
everybody knows.
it is a fair question before you
With
go,
an
Coach,
agenda.
to you, bro. Has how Mac Jones has played at all any percentage points made you reconsider how good you believe Purdy actually to be?
Well, I never had Purdy as elite.
Well, you said he could be.
I had him in the.
You said he could be.
Yeah, I had
Drew
him
Brees.
could be.
Yeah, that he could be.
It was fluid.
I understand.
But no, because there
Okay.
were plenty of guys that
No,
played
don't
for
you-
Shanahan
don't-
that were.
don't-
CJ Beathard.
God, dog it.
There were plenty
Stop
of guys that played for Shanahan that didn't put up there. But here, look at this graphic. This is a little more fair.
We didn't know.
This is them, both of them, over their careers with Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, so now it's McCaffrey.
No, hold
I've
on.
been-
But he makes a difference.
Yeah.
And just like Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice make a difference for Mahomes. But look at who's been better when McCaffrey's played. It's not close. The passer rating, Purdy's is
Okay, I
far
have another
better.
graphic with
the
Fred Warner pulling
TD
out.
to, no, because this is offense. TD to interceptions. Basically 3-1 for Purdy, 2-1 for Mac.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I just say it doesn't matter. None of it matters because you're telling me you're going to go to the owner and say, we traded 3 number ones for Trey Lance, and then we didn't play him, but we played the guy who we drafted last, and we moved on from him. And now we've given this other guy $265 million, and we're going to play this dude who's making 3% of his contract at $8 million. You're going to walk into the ownership and say, that's okay?
Yeah, call the Jets.
No chance.
Nick brings up a good point, though. Do you keep Jones as a backup?
Yeah, it's like quiet.
I mean, like
it's
next
like,
year
it's like,
stuff.
What was your term the other day? Soft benching, quiet benching?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you quiet
Soft
bench him.
benching.
You just say, oh, he's still
Well, for the rest of
dinged
this
up.
year. But next year is interesting.
I
'Cause if
would
Purdy has
listen.
been
I
injury-prone.
personally, I think I'd be interested in both of their trade value over the summer, bro.
I think that's.
I'd be interested in both of them.
I think
that
that's interesting.
$265
Right?
million
Do you
contract,
think
no trading
Purdy's
for
is
that.
going to be great?
See, this
Well,
is,
with the injury, but I'm saying with the injury history that he, like before this season, I didn't think the injury history was that bad. It was a little bit, but now you're out essentially a whole year.
Okay. If nobody will trade for the player, then it's a bad contract. That's pretty
It's
good.
a terrible
rule.
contract.
Okay, I agree.
No, I'm saying if they won't trade for him, it's a terrible contract.
We'll see.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.